Tutorial Campaign Scenario 2, The Emperor's Will. Years have passed. Slava has known war against the elves, found and lost love, eventually marrying a daughter of the Stag Duchy and fathering 5 promising children. Friendship between Slava and Kral's orcs remains strong. When the Emperor issues a decree authorizing Slava's old enemy, Duke Gerhard of the Wolf, to deport the orcs and claim their lands, Slava doesn't hesitate to defy the Emperor's will to defend his friends. As for the trait, I am going to go with Demographist 1, which grants me 3 more of each core creature per week.
Down! And post the Imperial decree in case that orc-loving Slava sends a scout! We are enforcing the Emperor's will. Slava can't lift a finger to stop us.
So my friendly neighbor Gerhard has started another war. The Dragon Guards were drunk the day they granted him a duchy. But I'll give him this, the Wolf Lord is clever. My family is safe here, so he draws me out by attacking an old friend. Valeska, I am defying Gerhard, not the Emperor. Kral has been a good neighbor and ally. I see no reason to start butchering his tribe.
But the Duke of Wolf holds a decree from the Emperor, allowing him to drive the orcs out of the Empire.
Yes. How convenient that he starts on my lands.
Duke Slava, I instruct your children in the ways of Elrath, the Dragon of Light. Loyalty is one of his highest precepts. What example are you making for them?
You speak of religious theory. But now you are the student, and the course is political practice. I will find Kral and see what can be done. Go to East Talon, make sure the children are safe, and tell Master Jorgen to prepare for a siege.
Gerhard would never attack your capital.
How much are you willing to bet? Go and see that the duchy prepares for war.
Unless by some chance you have the right education or hail from outside of the Western world, whatever that means, there's a snowball's chance in hell that you might even consider Valeska to be right, which is a sad thing indeed, since the situation we've just been presented with has a lot more depth than it may seem on the surface. I will get back to this subject in due time. For now, let's focus on more immediate issues. As you might have gleaned from our quest log, our immediate goals are economic in nature. We need to secure the access paths to the nearby resources. In order to achieve that, we need to gather some more forces. Some sentinels and sisters join us before we even leave the castle walls, but for good measures let's also assimilate the troops stationed to the west. A dozen more sentinels, delightful. There's also a treasure chest here, which serves as a much needed reminder I must spend my ability points. By the way, the Dynasty tab is also active, although it doesn't serve much purpose at this point. Getting back on track, I have to choose my abilities. I have both affinities and all the tabs to choose from, but fortunately I've already made my mind beforehand. I go with Toughness Tier 1 and Tier 2. They increase the amount of hit points every creature in my army has by 2% each. As you might have guessed by this point, my strategy relies on having a huge amount of core troops, which have plenty of health so they rarely go down, and when they do go down, I resuscitate them with my priestesses. Let's head towards the crossbowman I was supposed to attack. And end the turn.
Slava, Wolf burns villages. Says orcs must go.
Not while I'm Duke. Give me time to fortify this castle. Then we'll hunt wolfheads together.
Good. Slava and Kral ride to battle like old times. Break many wolf skulls. Also like old times. Ha 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 ha!
Back to what I was saying, keeping my troops alive is merely short-term thinking. I will get overwhelmed sooner or later if I don't take the necessary steps to conquer at least half of the castles in the area. The logic behind this is simple. It's not just about your army size growing, but it's important that this growth exceeds that of your opponent. To this end, counterintuitive as it may sound, you may as well make cost-inefficient trades and accept short-term losses in battles as long as they secure your long-term benefits like new troops from castles. I basically want to have the cake and eat it too. I'm going to be very aggressive while trying to sacrifice as little of my troops as possible. This battle is a fine example. Although I took my time getting here, I spent that time gathering plenty of additional troops. Now I have the sisters to heal everyone up, the crossbowmen to deal damage in the first turn, therefore reducing the damage output of the enemy forces significantly, and then there are the sentinels. Easy to overlook, but useful both offensively and defensively. And look, no casualties so far. Marvelous. Considering how much damage I deal from afar, I might as well cluster my troops behind cover in a defensive posture, but on the other hand, the enemy forces are so powerless that I might as well charge ahead. Who's going to stop me? Of course, you might find my gloating a little bit out of place considering this is our first encounter with the enemy, but for the same reason, there's not much else to be said here. Other than that it's an unfortunate turn of events that has led us into killing other people, innocent people might I add, armed but probably not bloodthirsty, merely forced to obey and follow orders. But that's how civil wars always work, isn't it? Let's finish this.
Not much of a headquarters. Even as a mausoleum, it has seen better days. Come on, let's fix this place up.
On a less grim note, you may notice a bit of hesitation on my part. You can clearly see that there's some wood to the south and that I have none. The problem is this: the paths to the north and the east are short and lead to the borders of the map. This means I'm going to go there once and should be done with it as quickly as possible. If I do go out a few extra steps to get the wood, I will be backtracking to the north later, even though the path north will force me to backtrack anyway and go south. Of course, I make the worst decision possible and go north, then change my mind and go south again, just to go north again and head back south later. Of course, moving like a pendulum is a mistake, but in most cases it's even worse to stick with the wrong decision. Being decisive isn't worth a damn if you're making wrong choices. And look, a treasure. Wonderful, delightful. Now the paths north and east are clear, so let's head back to the mausoleum. Back at which we shall build basic fortification, instead of upgrading our barracks into a garrison.
Good. No wolf puppies will take the castle while I'm gone. Now it's time to take back my duchy.
There's still quite a bit of upgrading left to be done here though. Obviously not this turn. Also, the southern gate is open wide, beckoning me to step through. I will do so as soon as I secure the path leading to it. Speaking of which, the shambling corpses of the nearby ghouls appear to be in desperate need of a lesson in rigor mortis. In more mundane news, I'm out of wood, so I can't build anything this turn, which upsets me greatly. Even more depressingly, I don't see any immediate means of acquiring the resource I desire. Oh well, let's at least get rid of the wretched ghouls. I'll figure something out later. They sound upset. Which reminds me, I'm fairly certain ravenous ghouls have slipped under the radar due to us facing them merely once beforehand. And with not enough time to elaborate on why they are special. Apart from being undead and having the dead flesh ability, which reduces might damage by 20%, they have a second one called Rage Against the Living, which causes them to deal 30% more damage against, surprise surprise, living units, and increases their movement speed by 2 when fighting against them. But I guess that doesn't matter anymore, does it? Let's get the artifact. +4 to Destiny, which is the newfangled term used to describe what was called luck in previous installments. From an ontological perspective, this change in nomenclature is quite interesting. While luck is a term used to describe something nice which happened although it didn't have to, we speak of destiny when, to quote a charismatic though a bit confused gentleman, what happened happened and couldn't have happened in any other way. This shift is not necessarily bad, it emphasizes the monumental nature of the events surrounding our characters, although obviously it is somewhat restrictive as a modality. I won't get further into that, don't worry. Let's get right back on track. We visit the Royal Flag and are about to attack the Griffins as soon as we gather some gold. And of course you haven't met the Griffins yet. Well, you are about to. No you're not. The Griffins wisely yield. Oh, and by the way, why did I build a marketplace instead of upgrading into a town hall as I was told? Well, that's because I still don't have a reliable income in terms of wood, while I do have a surplus of all, and if it comes to that, I can even trade away some gold. So let's disregard the fact that I have another campfire near my hero, and let's proceed to trade away the resources immediately, so that I may make a fool of myself. I'm going to trade away half of my ore and 1250 pieces of gold. And now we have a town hall back at the mausoleum. Lovely. Now I'm told I'm supposed to erect a unique building, although I see no relevant icon on the town screen. Although of course I have already built something this turn, so it should not concern me yet. And of course I'm supposed to flag crystal mine and sawmill. West to Storm Church. A battered wooden panel points the direction to Storm Church and also notes an interesting historical detail for those curious and able to read. It was in this church that the Griffin leader Ishtvan became the first Griffin Duke of the Falcon Empire, having accepted a sword from the angels and dropping to one knee in front of Brian Falcon. He is quoted as saying, "Thee I will follow, the chosen man of Elaf, but do not ever ask me to follow a bird." Sounds like Ishtvan was quite a badass. I wish I could meet him.
Strange. The road to Ishtvan's tomb is blocked. Is that grizzled old spirit up to something?
Kroll remembers Ishtvan. First Griffin Duke before Holy Empire. Before Griffin people changed their god. From Dragon of Air to Dragon of Light.
Yes. And he's still unhappy about that. Let's go look. I wouldn't put it past the wolf to plunder his mausoleum.
Okay, forget I said anything. As a side note, I'm impressed with Kroll's memory. I doubt the subject of Ishtvan was brought up too often before today. Although I'm fairly certain he remembers this more as a story of his friend's ancestor than as a historical fact. See? Wood, I told you I shouldn't have traded. Then again, I know that's hindsight for you. I'm not going to get too upset about it, and neither should you. Because here we have a sawmill that we can gain control of. Someday. And boy do we need some wood. But not now, we can't utilize it yet. Blood abilities. I don't use blood abilities, I use Tears abilities. And we have some Praetorians to face. No biggie. They can neither shoot nor heal themselves. They are going to be helpless against my forces. Okay, I do have a single blood ability. Flawless Assault, otherwise known as Bless from the previous installments, as you no doubt remember. Blast. We need to deal more damage. But obviously sending our sisters to die won't help the situation, so let's fall back and regroup. Now I could attack with my sentinels, but I still don't think that's enough. And besides, my forces would then be split, and that's suboptimal to say the least. I need to keep them together to keep them well defended. So let's fall back with the sentinels as well. I would very much like to shoot with my crossbowmen, but not if it's going to leave them vulnerable to the next attack of our enemies. Okay, this is when the fun starts. Let's deal the final bits of damage from afar. Note that I can't really move out or else it'll screw up my formation. so the sentinels will have to stay put and defend themselves, as well as the rest of my troops. The same goes for the sisters, although of course my crossbowmen can and should attack. Right after my hero. No losses on my side yet. I want to attack with my sisters, but I don't want them to get hit back. Solution? Let's attack with the sentinels first. A brilliant plan, but it has a single fatal flaw. The Praetorian's shield bash ability causes them to attack any unit which attacked the ally. It's undeniably awesome, but just as much painful when you're on the receiving end. But don't worry, we can heal this up. After all, that's what the sisters are here for, aren't they? I would certainly prefer not to lose any more troops. Which is not as easy as it sounds. But it's doable, as you can see. I will have no more losses. Okay, all I need to do is resurrect the 2 sentinels which have fallen. And that's it. We're at full strength once again. So let's get rid of the last 4 remaining Praetorians. And there you go! No losses. And now we can flag the sawmill, as well as collect the resources scattered nearby. Let's see. The special building requires 1 more unit of crystal. But I'm not in a hurry, besides upgrading the barracks is a much more pressing concern for me. Oh look, we're in the woods. Such a beautiful place. Speaking of wood, capturing resource nodes in this game is a bit more demanding, but a lot less annoying. Let me show you why.
A curse on the wolf. They hold the nearest town. I won't get reliable shipments from this mine as long as they do.
As you can see, you don't have to retake every single mine every single time. If your enemy wants to take control of it, he needs to either conquer the nearby town or dedicate a hero to securing shipments. Oh, and why are we going back? Because I want to upgrade my sentinels and recruit some new troops before heading further. Note, it can be done in any castle you own which has the relevant structures, so the need for backtracking is kept down to a reasonable minimum, but I think this earlier boost is worth the time it takes to travel both ways. So let's head back now. To take advantage of the fact that I came all the way back here, I'm going to visit both the rally flag, which serves no purpose as I have already visited it earlier, and I'll also bring my troops to say a quick prayer at the feet of the Blind Maiden statue, hoping that fortune will smile upon us in the next battle. And we're back at this beautiful verdant forest again. Let's visit the Conflux Orb. Your reflection in the water will show you the path. Once you are back, your destiny awaits. I like this, though it's very vague. I do believe at least it's not a quote, and I always cherish independent thought. War does not determine who is right, only who is left. That's attributed to Bertrand Russell, a philosopher, although I find it clever and insightful regardless of who said it. Let's not pursue that. Am I showing mercy just because of the quote I've just read? Certainly not, on the contrary. I like the quote because I value mercy. At least for the purpose of this campaign. Okay, let's end the turn. As you can see, we have received a single batch of crystals. That's obviously because we were in control of the mine when the turn ended. Partially by accident, we didn't have enough movement points to head further. I certainly don't mind it happening though. Before we get the treasure chest, let's attack the ghosts. There's merely 27 of them. So they stand no chance against the army I've assembled. By healing themselves, they only delay the inevitable. Sooner or later they are going to run out of healing charges and I am going to just keep shooting. They are going to be forced to come to me or perish where they stand. And they choose the former. Unsurprising. And now I'm going to strike head on with my Praetorians. Absolutely no losses, so let's finish the ghosts with my sisters. And the battle is over. No losses, no need for healing at all. Now, if you have been wondering why I chose to go north instead of going east to get the treasure chest, it's because it's Sunday. Which means a new week will start tomorrow, and if we control this fault, we get some more units this week. And we only needed to do that at the end of the 7th day of the week. So now let's collect the resources, the artifact, which I cannot use since it's meant for magic-oriented heroes. And let's finally get the chest. Oh, and back at the mausoleum, we are supposed to erect a special building, so let's do so right now. I get to choose between Angel Watch, which fills my gauge, and Statue of Revelation, which allows me once per week to reveal an area anti-adventure map. I know this is likely the wrong choice, but I go with Angel Watch anyway, even though it only works within Royal Events Castle's area of control, and my faction ability has so far been unavailable to me during fights anyway. Worse yet, I choose to recruit my units immediately, even though I could probably do so at the fort I'm about to conquer. Oh well, old habits die hard. So let's finally head south. We are supposed to storm this fort. And as soon as we do so, the mines near it will become ours automatically. There are several water elementals blocking our path, but we should be able to defeat them. Hopefully with no losses. I hate it when battles start out this way. Just keep in mind, since the sisters have 2 healing charges, I can't let 3 of my units have casualties. All one have slight and the second so severe as to require both charges. Now obviously the first charge will be spent on the sisters, which is something I have mixed feelings about. I mean, healers healing healers are only a good thing if only the healers get hurt. Of course this only works if the losses they suffer are not severe enough for the healing powers to diminish significantly. Otherwise it becomes a losing battle of trying to out-heal damage that just keeps coming. But fear not, this battle is all but over. All that remains is to heal up the Praetorians and strike the final blow to the final water elemental. And we're done. No casualties, as always. More water elementals, hooray! 7 of them this time. They are in a single stack, and unsurprisingly they start out by attacking my sisters with an ice bolt. I retaliate with a heroic strike, which is more for the Mark of the Heretic debuff than for the damage itself. Now let's heal the sisters. Oh, this is bad. I'm going to need both of the charges to heal the sisters up, which means I cannot afford any more casualties, or else I won't be able to bring them back. Okay, there will be casualties. It's unavoidable at this point. I can either heal 1 sister up or raise 2 Praetorians. Of which I obviously choose the latter. Okay, it's time to finish this fight. And even though we lost one sister, I think it was worth it because... we get the artifact. +2 to leadership and lightning bolt. Huh. Thunderblade helmet, what does our helm do? +1 to scouting, +2 to experience gained. So our all-seeing crown seems to be slightly more beneficial, especially where we'll undergo. Although in battle, our new helmet could come in handy. I mean, it gives us the lightning bolt spell. Then again, we get more experience if we have the all-seeing crown at the end of the battle. It's tempting. And this fight is going to be tough, I can guarantee you that. Since the threat level is now low and the threat level of the water elementals was merely trivial. Also, as you can see, I have switched back to the all-seeing crown, so I will get more experience from this fight. But I will have to face these elf elementals without the lightning bolt spell. By the way, now would be a good time to explain to you how elf elementals work, and belatedly to do the same for the water counterpart. Earth elementals have 4 abilities. First of all, regeneration, which gives them some health back at the beginning of each turn. Secondly, spirit form, which, as you might remember, nullifies 50% of the damage taken before they act in battle. The third ability is Earth Affinity, which means they are 50% less vulnerable to earth damage and 50% more vulnerable to air damage, such as from the lightning bolt we don't have. Lastly, there's Petrification, which you've seen in action at the beginning. It makes the target unable to act in a given turn, but also invulnerable during said turn. And now let's enumerate the abilities of water elementals. First of all, Spirit Form, which I have explained already. Second thing, Water Affinity, which means they receive 50% more damage from fire sources and 50% less damage from water sources. Number 3, Liquid Body, which gives them a generic 20% damage resistance. Number 4, Water Strike, which causes any unit they attack to become soaked, which means 20% more vulnerability to air damage. And finally, Ice Bolt, which is an active ability, which freezes the target in place, deals damage and applies a frozen debuff, which means 20% more vulnerability to fire damage. Oh, I almost forgot, water elementals are also amphibian, which means they are immune to water-based movement impairing effects. So, to put it simply, both elementals have Spirit Form, receive half more damage from the opposing element and half less from their own. Both have active abilities which immobilize the targets, but the Earth version protects from, while the Water version deals damage. Earth elementals regenerate health, while Water elementals resist some more damage dealt to them. Also, Water elementals apply debuffs which make their targets more susceptible to either fire damage when hit by an Ice Bolt, or air damage when simply attacked. And they're immune to water-based movement impairment. And that is all you have to remember about Earth elementals and Water elementals. May we never see them again. And yes, we had losses. +1 movement to friendly creatures. Windstrider sandals. That sounds pretty worthwhile. They're from the same set as the All-Seeing Crown, which means we receive 4% more experience. Hooray for artifact sets. And now we have no choice but to head east. And we will storm the fort as soon as we... Oh my, they want to join us. Delightful, of course I will accept their offer. And now is the time to secure this fort, which is going to grant me control over all the buildings in the area, the sawmill, the crystal mine and the outpost to the north of here, which boosts the number of recruits available each week. I am slightly frustrated that I cannot utilize my Irish ability yet. Even though Angel Guard apparently does fill the gauge up even beyond the area of control of the castle it's built in. For those of you who might have no idea what I'm talking about, look at the bottom right panel. Between the spellbook and heroic strike icons there's the guardian angel icon, surrounded by a ring. It's full right now, but I cannot use it yet because this is the tutorial. On a positive note, the catapult hit the gate at least once, so that's 3 less times I need to bash at it with my troops to get in. Our opponents are of course smart enough to stay behind the castle walls as long as possible, but that won't save them, considering the disparity between our army sizes. Even my crossbowmen do some damage, even though it's hard for them to shoot over the castle walls and hit the mark. Oh, and don't be confused by the fact that a single shot from the crossbowman hurt my sisters, sentinels and praetorians at the same time. It's not a bug, it's not the piercing shot of the marksman, no. It's the shield guard ability which causes the sentinels and their upgraded counterpart to absorb and reduce some of the damage received by all the troops standing near it, as you recall. The catapult finally destroys the front gate, and now my troops can swarm inside. This battle will be over soon. I mark the enemy sentinels with the debuff. Get rid of almost half of them, suffering no losses. And it's high time to heal my troops up. Theoretically, I should wait with my other troops, skip to the sisters, cast one last healing spell and only afterwards kill the sisters. Unfortunately, the enemy sisters get their turn first, so I can either A, defend now, get attacked by the sisters and see as my units kill them in retaliation anyway, or I can just shoot them in the face. Of course, I could have circumvented that by leaving the single crossbowman alive and killing the sisters instead. Sorry guys, my mistake. Now we are tasked with entering the Spirit Gate. I will gladly oblige as soon as I'm certain there's nothing of interest on this side. It's a one-way trip after all. As you can see, I'm tasked with keeping at least some of the orcs alive. This should be easy, considering that this is the first time I get the chance to use my Guardian Angel Race ability, which creates an unbreakable barrier that protects the unit behind it from all sources of damage. As for my plan here, as counterintuitive as it may sound, I'm going to charge with the Orcish Maulers, sending them to block the enemy crossbowmen. Our sentinels and praetorians should engage the enemy equivalents, while the crossbowmen of our own continue to skewer the enemies with their deadly bolts while shielded from enemy attacks themselves. The sisters obviously are going to stay behind and heal whomever they need. Right now they need to heal themselves. But when they run out of healing charges, they are going to charge into battle, so as not to stand idly. It's messy, there are going to be casualties, but we no longer have the luxury of outnumbering our enemies overwhelmingly. All in all, it's a hectic battle, as it should be considering that we have arrived as almost all hope was lost for the orcs. By the way, here you can see the naive Praetorians stabbing our sentinels and receiving 2 counterattacks. It's lovely when you're the one benefiting from this. And we finally get to block the crossbowmen. About effing time, considering there's only 4 left of them right now. But then again, the maulers helped achieve that. To at least some extent. So let's heal some of them up to show our appreciation. And with no healing charges left, let's go ahead and charge with our sisters. And there's actually nothing menacing about the enemy Praetorians being here, as long as our crossbowmen are protected by the bubble of the Guardian Angel. Which they no longer are! Well, at least none of them fell. Okay, I am going to do something controversial though, and protect my Praetorians with the Guardian Angel, so they won't get counterattacked by the sentinels I'm about to strike at. And now I have to protect my crossbowmen by getting rid of the Praetorians with the sisters. Now all that remains is getting rid of the few final sentinels. In a grim twist of fate, the battle is going to end with a strike dealt by the odds, as it has started with a strike against them.
You won't be so lucky next time, orc lover.
You hear that, Kral? It's an insult.
Let's go give Captain some orc love.
Well, orc love is probably like orcs themselves, strong, brutal and elfly. So I guess you could say that in the orcish sense we are going to bluff them up. Here's some food for thought. There are, or at least were, some theories out there that view sex and violence, love and hate as different sides of the same coin. It sounds reasonable, doesn't it? In both cases there's a lot of passion towards a person, although expressed in different ways. I guess the polar opposite of both would be indifference, a truly terrible thing to behold. On a more practical note, we are headed back to our castle to upgrade the sentinels of ours, get the reinforcements we've recruited earlier, as well as the new ones, since it's about to be a new week. Can't wait. And we're also going to visit the rally flag to travel faster. Okay, and it's the week of play. That's fortunate. No, I'm deadly serious. We're better off thanks to this. You know why? That's because it's the week of plague for everyone. And as you already know, our enemies hold more castles. So their collective forces grow in numbers faster than us, which means that the less we all get, the slower their advantage becomes overwhelming. So yes, it's truly great that it's the week of plague. And until we get more castles, more than them, it would be best if it were the week of plague all the time. Which it's probably not going to, and I'm willing to accept that, you know, I'm a reasonable guy.
Wolf Duke brings little boy to watch fight. Orcs kill guards, take boy.
You took Gerhardt's nephew. Hostages. That's a dangerous game to play.
No. Fighting orcs dangerous game. Wolf kill orc children. Orcs shed no tears for wolf children.
I'm not really getting much of a choice, am I? Oh well, I'd negotiate regardless.
When wolves leave orc lands, child leave orc hands.
That boy is related to the Emperor. If you kill him, the retaliation could be terrible.
No more terrible than for smallest child of humblest orc.
Ah, Dev, the great equalizer. He does have a point, obviously. I'll just let you guys contemplate this for a moment. Are you done? Because we've just prevented even more pointless bloodshed and gained some new allies and an artifact. What does it do? +1 to magic power and +22 mana. Okay. Even more lives saved by the virtue of not endangering them in the first place. Oh, there are some Vestals here. They should be harmless. Oh, a new quest! What am I supposed to do? Recruit additional heroes. Say no more. And I'm supposed to capture the Orc dwellings. Yeah, I know. Okay, so now I can build a Hall of Heroes. Which is represented by a mug? Seriously? That's the Hall of Heroes? It's a tavern, isn't it? That's a fancy name for a tavern. Okay, Eduardo. Eileen. Rosalie. Lord Hart! Maximus! Oh, jolly. Maximus is as ugly as ever. Okay, a new hero recruited and a level up for Slava. And some achievement gained. Okay, Lady Cordelia. Let's upgrade your sentinels into Praetorians. Actually, I've got some spell cash, so let's also recruit Umberto. And let's upgrade his troops, hand them over to Lady Cordelia. And now's the time to spend their ability points, as each of them gets a single one just for being at level 1. What I'm doing right now is not an exploit, but it's hilariously lucrative regardless. Architect Tier 1 is a trait which increases creature dwelling production in the area by 1. Note this covers creatures from forts, not castles. As such, if I move my Architect 1 heroes to the area south of here, I receive 1 more Sentinel, Crossbowman and Sister per hero per week. The trade-off? Secondary heroes become increasingly costly to recruit, with the last few of them being so expensive that if you have the necessary cash and it won't disrupt your other investments, your situation is so great that it hardly makes a difference. Look at this, the first hero was 3,000 pieces of gold, the second 4,000 pieces of gold, and the third one 6,000 pieces of gold. The third one in this case being Adelaine. Oh, obviously you also have to keep your secondary heroes alive in the area of control you desire to milk for more troops. If your opponent has any idea what he's doing, he's likely going to send them crying back into the Hall of Heroes. Especially if you don't fancy giving them any combat traits and any units, which is actually possible in this game. No more secondary heroes getting the single sprite or halfling or whatever. Since I get some troops with each of my heroes, Lady Cordelia here is tasked with handing them over to Slava, although she gets stuck in traffic, as the other heroes have managed to end their turn precisely at the only choke point in their path. But that's okay. Oh, and I'm going with evasive maneuvers as my new skill for Slava, which is nullifying 1/8 of damage my troops receive from enemy attacks for 2 turns. If only I remember to actually use it when the time comes, instead of going for the heroic strike as I usually do, it might be a great addition to my defensive capabilities. And now let's patiently send all of my heroes south. Here goes Adelaide. And here's Umberto. Let's send him to this spot. And finally, Lady Cordelia should be able to hand over her troops, as well as remain in this area, since otherwise I won't get the bonus troops from her ability. And we finally do attack the Vestals. And I drag the evasive maneuvers to its spot before I forget about it entirely. As is the case with attacking all troops with healing capabilities, our enemies are delaying the inevitable for a few turns, and I have no intention of stripping them from their delusions. Go ahead, heal up while you can, girls. You're going down regardless. Bye-bye. We get some gold, experience from the chest, and a brief look at a rocky but very pretty and clean beach. But enough smelling of flowers, we have a mission. Let's visit the rally flag. And now let's... Ooh! Okay, I'll take that. We get 66 more Praetorians. That's impressive, that nearly doubled the amount of Praetorians we have. And now I guess would be the time to retake the nearby Orcish village from Karlov's hands. He has a decently sized army, but we are going to win regardless. Let's do this. Before we manage to break down the town's gates, we possess very little means of inflicting damage upon our opponents, namely our crossbowmen and any heroic strikes we might go for instead of using combat abilities. As such, as soon as I get the chance, I order evasive maneuvers and entice the Guardian Angel to descend upon my precious ranged troops. The Praetorians and Maulers I'm going to send charging at the gates, trying to break them down as soon as possible. This also gives the Maulers some additional protection from damage, although our enemies have apparently chosen to focus their efforts of the marksmen on my defenseless sisters, whom I encourage to keep replenishing the numbers, though I know this can't go on forever. The first charge of healing is already gone, and the second one will no doubt soon follow as turn 2 begins and the attacks on them continue. With only my crossbowmen to rely on, I demand their attacks to be flawless, as the fate of this battle rests upon their shoulders. The following attack strikes hard and fast as 1/3 of the enemy counterpart bites the dust. As the Maulers finally catch up to the Praetorians, I realize how dire the situation is. After some brief indecision, I decide to heal my sisters up as soon as I engulf them in the protective mist of angelic energy. And afterwards I move them onwards to regroup with the rest of my forces. With no further protection I can offer them, I watch as my sisters fall, never to rise again. I continue my efforts to cut down the number of opposing marksmen, whom the enemy kept reviving up until this point. My sisters meet my melee troops at the enemy gates, which allows them to hide behind their rows of tall shields and offer more support to my warriors. I decide to once again call upon the Guardian Angel to protect my sisters, and mere moments afterwards my troops gain entrance beyond the fortifications. However, I decide not to act too hastily and keep my formation until all troops can enter jointly. Splendid! My sisters can attack the enemy troops without risking retaliation. Except that they cannot. They get stuck in the moat as they try to do so. Which was to be expected. Fortunately, my enemies came to me, so I won't have to go through all the hassle of closing the distance. Even better yet, they are within optimal shooting range for my marksmen, who gladly put so many bolts in them they look like giant dead porcupines. But let's finish the job with the Praetorians. As painful as it is, I cannot attack the sisters, so I decide to charge onwards. The sisters attack my molars. I'm not quite sure how I feel about that. I couldn't have retaliated anyway. So let's finally get beyond the walls. Burn the enemy sisters' first retaliation by attacking them with my own sisters, shielded by a guardian angel. And now all that remains is getting rid of the final enemy crossbowman. And let's do so with the... Okay, I have a single molar left. Okay, let's use a heroic strike then. The village is ours. Our losses are substantial, but I deem them acceptable. As we have now captured the village, let's enter it and convert it into a forward outpost. From now on, I think we should be able to recruit troops here, assuming we also control the nearby castle with appropriate buildings, in which case we might as well recruit troops first, since outposts like this only offer unupgraded units. As for my secondary heroes, at first I thought about moving Lady Cordelia west to deliver her troops to Slava, but then I realized it's day 7. So I need to keep all of my secondary heroes in this area to boost recruitment rates for the next week. So Lady Cordelia, Umberto and Adelaide remain in the southeastern sector. At least until tomorrow. As for Slava, let's move him towards the signpost. Huh. Okay, I guess this area does not contain any castles, otherwise I would have lost control of it as soon as Slava left it, assuming I understand how area control works in this game. Which I hope I do. I considered cutting this sequence, but for educational purposes, have a look. I control a single castle mausoleum where I can recruit all my core units, out of which one is upgraded, the Praetorians, but I also control 2 forts. One belongs to the southeastern area where my secondary heroes are, and there I can recruit 3 unupgraded core haven units, while the central fort gives me nothing. I'm guessing that is because the southeastern area also contains a barracks, which gives me some additional units each week, while in the middle I control no such building. Also, please keep in mind that you recruit from a global pool. If I can recruit 19 marksmen, I can recruit all of them anywhere I want and have access to them. As soon as I do, there's no more of them to recruit, which makes the logistics of getting reinforcements a lot easier. Even though at this stage I'm still going to send my secondary heroes around for transfer purposes, I get everything at a single place and can deliver it right away. If you are still confused about my marksman example, I meant that I don't have to get my marksman from each castle or map location separately, but rather anywhere I can get some, I can get all. It's what you could call a holistic approach. Northwest to Blackfang. This wooden signpost has been recently branded with the insignia of the Duchy of Wolf, an ostentatious town, seeing how Blackfang is one of the oldest Griffin villages in recorded history. Huh, the nerve these wolf intruders have. Okay, as you can see, I've briefly considered going east to meet up with Lady Cordelia, who's heading west down the same path, but I've realized that I might as well clear out the area south of here while she's on her way. That way I'll get something done and allow her to catch up at the same time. Clever, elegant, What's missing from this equation is the fact that I'm about to get my ass kicked, and the additional troops would have been quite helpful in ending this battle faster, thus probably preventing some losses. Say goodbye to the final mauler. That guy had it coming too. Okay, let's do what we can with what we have left. The sisters are pretty much done for though. I can only try to delay the inevitable by sending the guardian angel to protect what's left of them. What I do not know is how long the effect actually lasts. If it's until the end of a given turn, it won't help much if I don't have any units with a high enough initiative to apply it before the elementals strike. If this is not the case, I should probably try casting it at the end of a given turn, rather than at the beginning. If it doesn't disappear immediately, I could sidestep the initiative disadvantage to a certain degree. Either way, sorry for not being able to figure this out yet. And let's make the best use of a crossbowman we can. Now I have a single charge of the Guardian Angel ability, and you can see that I'm honestly considering using it on the 3 remaining sisters. But in the end, the light of reason shines through, and I actually make use of it by protecting my Praetorians. See, the turn ended, the Guardian Angel is still there! Note to self, cast it at the last possible moment in a given situation. Also, I should have kept my sisters in the back. They hardly contribute to the damage dealt, yet pose a viable target to the elementals which are unable to help my Praetorians. I sure hope this artifact was worth the effort. Okay, let's end the... Oh crap. Okay, who are you? Martina Alofred. Okay, we can take her on. Let's grab the artifact first.
They're thieves as well as butchers. This armor came from Ishtvan's tomb. I won't let them steal the rest of it.
Orcs, help. Maybe bring helmet back with head still inside.
Oh, a side quest. I have been tasked with finding the 2 remaining artifacts from this set. Gladly, but first, let's get rid of my... Damn it! That single movement point spent on getting the artifact is now the difference between Slava being able to attack her this turn, possibly also getting the reinforcements before or at least soon afterwards, and the crap we have to deal with right now. Fine! I'll send Umberto to Mausoleum to get this week's reinforcements, which he can then hand over to Adelaide, who in turn can give them to Lady Cordelia, who is fleeing for her dear life, because I am a moron. Well, now that we have established this crucial fact, let's engage Martina in battle. Oh boy. Apparently, it was just a matter of manually adjusting the waypoint. Oh well. For now, let's order evasive maneuvers and protect the crossbowman with the Guardian Angel. There's not much I can do for my 2 sisters. Well, down they go. And with them, any shred of delusions I might have had about being able to heal my troops. I am left with only the Praetorians, who deal plenty of damage as long as they can close the distance, and about 6 dozen marksmen I desperately try to keep alive with the consecutive Guardian Angels. Choosing targets right now is a hard task. If I do not go for the sisters, whichever unit I do go for instead is going to get healed a decent amount. Unless all of them go down, of course, which is not all that unreasonable to expect. Well, as you know, I don't always make the optimal choices, but I do get by and try not to make the worst ones either. For those of you unaware, ranged units suffer a hefty penalty when attacking in melee. hence the practice of blocking shooters. With high morale, I might have chosen to back away with the first move, using the second to shoot from afar and deal more damage. I could argue that doing so would mean closing the distance with the sisters and crossbowmen would take my Praetorians even longer this way, but this only makes sense unless we consider the possibility of moving my crossbowmen to the right, closer to my Praetorians, perhaps even standing next to them to benefit from the shield guard ability and the lovely secondary counterattack. Oh well, moving your ranged units to the middle of the goddamn map is not something very intuitive, is it? Let's settle for just stabbing the remaining enemy forces. And getting rid of the remaining crossbowmen. After suffering some unnecessary losses. The final strike, and victory is ours. Ooh. We get the second artifact from this set! This was not as pointless as I expected it to be. As an added bonus, our reinforcements are going to be even bigger since they're enriched with the troops from this week's recruitment. Let me just take care of the logistics. Adelaide is indubitably closer south than Umberto, so it makes sense to take the 2 additional steps and transfer the forces from him to her first. And sending her south to merge them with what Lady Cordelia already has from the previous week. There we go. And now let's send Lady Cordelia to meet up with Slava at some point in the future. Now where should I send him? I could go west, northwest, simply north. I think I'll go between those obelisks. Let's attack the ghosts. I can take them on, even without the reinforcements. You remember ghosts, don't you? Allow me to refresh your memory. They have this ability called Spirit Form, which makes them immune to half of the damage you deal to them before they decide to move their ghostly asses and take their turn within a given battle. So, don't get disheartened by the pitiful amounts of damage we've dealt to them at the start. It's merely a temporary setback. Also, please notice I have been surprisingly patient and shown great restraint in using the Guardian Angel ability. I know this battle is hardly challenging, but it's the good habits here that I'm proud of. This is a cute little move. I am going to engulf the Praetorians in the Guardian Angel, so as not to suffer any retaliatory damage from the ghosts, even though I took out most of them. And the battle is over. No losses.
I like what he's doing, but he shouldn't be doing it. Old Ishtvan earned his rest. The mausoleum must be cleansed and Ishtvan pacified.
Four-legged scum! Traitors to Elam! Not wolves, dogs! Filth!
Pacifying Ishtvan is something we should take care of soon, but certainly not before Slava gets his reinforcements. Let's end the turn. Send Lady Cordelia on her way. Visit the observatory. Huh. And to buy some time before Lady Cordelia gets here, let's attack some more of the nearby undead. Even with just the units I currently have, I ain't afraid of no ghosts. As it usually is the case, I want to deal as much damage from afar as possible. As such, I cast Flawless Assault on my crossbowman. Even though Spirit Form is still in effect, making it seem like a wasted effort almost. Also, good thing I have access to the Guardian Angel from the get-go, courtesy of a special building erected back at the mausoleum. This allows me to protect my Praetorians when it matters most, while engaging the enemy forces for the first time at the strongest. Of course, we are going to suffer minor losses due to not having sisters with this army, but overall this isn't putting us behind. It's not that big of a deal, so calm down people, I'm doing fine. Okay, 6 ghosts left, people. We're almost there. Of course, they do manage to take one final crossbowman's life before they finally go down to a heroic strike. 2 Praetorians and 2 crossbowmen lost. Not that big of a deal at all. And we gain +1 to might defense. And I think this turn, or at the latest next turn, we should finally get our reinforcements. So let's send Lady Cordelia on her way. As for Slava, I don't know if I should venture further into the territory. I mean, this would only delay him getting the reinforcements. So let's just get 1 unit of all and head south to meet up with Lady Cordelia as soon as I can. And later attack Ishtvan with the reinforcements. Okay, and I can get some of the nearby gold. But that's it. I'm not going to attack the vampires. Send the turn. And finally get the forces Slava so desperately needs. Okay, so let's look at the numbers. We get 42 more Praetorians, 37 more crossbowmen, and 33 sisters. That's quite a lot. And now I think we can safely attack Ishtvan. The only reason I believe this to be a wise decision is because I assume he's a lot weaker dead than he was when alive. Let us not forget how much of a badass this guy was. Okay, let's get this started. Evasive maneuvers to protect the entirety of my forces. Guardian Angel to shield my newly recruited sisters from all damage. And let's target the skeletons with the crossbowmen, both to reduce the numbers a tiny bit and to give the ghosts something to worry about. And now we can safely charge with the Praetorians and the sisters and begin bashing at the gate until it falls apart. However long that may take. Let's just hope at some point we will get lucky and the catapult will simply target it. Of course, I should probably go around and hit the weakened segment of the castle walls, which the ghouls are smartly protecting. But as you might have noticed earlier, I'm quite used to the idea of there being a moat somewhere, even if it's not there. And as such I go for the gate instinctively. Fortunately, the catapult has just managed to significantly lower its structural integrity, but that was pure luck. On the other hand, you could argue that this is a situation similar to, say, picking the right queue to stand in a supermarket. If you continue running around and switching lanes, it almost certainly is going to take longer than if you simply picked one and stood in it. But enough of that, we have a great-great-grandfather to kill. As painful as it is, I decide to protect my crossbowmen with the Guardian Angel, leaving the sisters vulnerable. It's time for them to start healing my troops up anyway. If they cannot manage to do that, as depressing as it may sound, it's better that they get hit rather than my precious damage-dealing Praetorians and crossbowmen. It's a vicious circle, really. In low numbers, healers hardly make a difference, but if they're not protected, you'll never have them in high numbers. And now I have to focus the healing efforts of the sisters on the sisters. Fortunately, we can finally get beyond the castle walls, and the only opposition left facing us are 3 dozen ravenous ghouls and 5 dozen skeletons. My Praetorians are going to deal as much damage to the ghouls as they can in one go, but afterwards the rest of my forces are on their own, as I have to finally block and vanquish the skeletons. I feel for the sisters, but as the ghouls run past them, it's simply not feasible to chase them with the Praetorians and leave the skeletons unchecked. Fortunately, I do have a Guardian Angel to spare, so the crossbowmen should be safe. For now. And even by stabbing the ghouls with their daggers, they are still doing a fair bit of damage. A lot less than they usually deal, but still a reasonable amount considering the dwindling numbers of the ravenous ghouls. There's only 7 of them left after all. I briefly consider attacking them with the sisters, but there's only 15 of them left. I do not wish to endanger them if I can avoid it. A single ghoul left, so all that remains is to get rid of these skeletons. Well, yeah, unless Ishtvan does that and brings back 4 more ghouls. But despite that, and despite that I mistakenly ordered my crossbowmen to defend, victory is mine.
I knew those treacherous falcons would try to take my lands. Wolves in my duchy? Infamy!
Ishtvan, your wars ended long ago. Leave ours to us. Gerhard has been an annoyance for decades. I wish we'd run him through years ago. Oh well, Asher will call him sooner or later.
Sooner would be better.
He causes more trouble than Arena and Sandor put together. Hard to believe, eh?
Hard to believe there is something worse than my unruly children.
Unruly? More fit to rule than most. You weren't so different, Slava. To be honest, the other 3 took more from their mother, and they're a bit too bookish for my liking.
Perhaps, but all of them have great potential.
If they should live long enough to fulfill it, griffins have a habit of dying too young.
We get a cutscene, a new base of operations, and consequently additional recruits every week, an economic artifact which over time is going to give us a fortune in gold, we fulfill a quest, and finally lay an angry spirit of our ancestor to rest. Now don't you dare whine about the losses we've incurred to achieve all of that. It was worth it. Period. Also, the buildings are displayed in red not because we lack the resources, it's because we've converted this castle this turn, so we can't erect anything more yet. As for the bag of endless gold, it's still guarded by the orcs, but we'll get it eventually. For now, it's time to send Slava on his way. And Lady Cordelia to Stormchurch, so that she may give him the next week's reinforcements as soon as they arrive. Speaking of reinforcements, we should have all the necessary buildings before the next week starts. So I've erected the abbey. Now we can go ahead, recruit the sisters, and immediately hand them over to Slava. Let's get her back to Stormchurch. Just as I pick up this pile of oil with Slava, I realize that resource gathering may as well be performed by other heroes. I immediately point him towards a more suiting task of killing monsters and gathering artifacts. With Lady Cordelia making herself comfortable in Stormchurch and generally destined to deliver new recruits onto Slava's hands, I sent for Umberto. I'd gladly move Adelaide over there as well, but then the realization strikes. It's day 7. Even if it wasn't, my secondary heroes shouldn't all stray from the barracks of the lower right sector of the map. Regardless, let's attack the skeletons with Slava. There's quite a few of them, and they throw spears, so I'm going to need all the protection I can get as I inevitably charge towards them. So I call for evasive maneuvers. And before I shoot with my crossbowman, I should apply the Guardian Angel to one of my units. And I think I'll go with the sisters, since there's so few of them and I need the numbers to grow at some point. It's a tough decision to make. I don't want the skeletal spearmen and skeletons to target my crossbowman, but I can't pick both. And so we lose some crossbowmen. And a single Praetorian. But we are more than halfway across the map, so we should reach the skeletons shortly. In the meantime, I'm doing as much damage with my crossbowman as I can. And now I'm able to block both the skeletal spearmen and the bigger of the two skeleton stacks. Obviously that's because I've targeted the other one with my ranged units. As I heal up my Praetorians, I am left with 3 enemy stacks. The severely cut down upgraded version, the huge one attacking my sisters, and the final one a few steps away from my Praetorians. The second one I'm going to target with both the crossbowmen and the sisters. I'm going to get rid of the third one in one fell swoop with my Praetorians, and afterwards all that will remain shall be the 9 skeletal spearmen. I heal up as many of my sisters as I can, and this shot is going to be a tough choice. I ultimately decide to go for the skeletal spearmen and get really unlucky. I could have dealt between 93 and 187 points of damage, and I've dealt 95. That's pretty much as low as it gets. The only lower values were obviously 94 and 93. But that's okay. My crossbowman will have the final shot in this battle. We had losses, but they are acceptable. Let's get the artifact. Supreme Crown of the Magister. Well, kidding. Then again, it's not like I should have left the skeletons alone. I have still gained quite a bit of XP through all of this. Apparently I'm puzzled that I still cannot build anything. Okay, it's the week of Mana Storm. Spell cost increased. Doesn't matter. It's not like Slava casts any spells. Okay, finally. I can get the Praetorians from here. Lots of units. So let's transfer them right away. Send Lady Cordelia. Okay, so Slava gets 35 more Praetorians, 24 more crossbowmen, and 23 more sisters. And since she's already here, Lady Cordelia gets the honor of collecting resources Duke Slava graciously leaves. And since she's already here, Lady Cordelia gets the honor of collecting resources Duke Slava graciously leaves behind on the ground. But hey, someone has to do it, right? And she's around, so why not? Hell, I'll send for Umberto to keep her company. As for Adelaide, I'm going to send her to the misty marshes near the barracks. It seems to be quite a pleasant place. You know, misty, pristine. I think this is about the point where I realized that I really need Umberto to be in the southeastern sector, since he provides a valuable service just by being there. So I sent him back. But that's okay. There aren't as many resources around here to necessitate another hero gathering them alongside Lady Cordelia. The Umberto situation really highlights my way of dealing with mistakes, at least in game. There are pretty much 3 ways you can handle such a situation. You can reload a previous save and prevent the mistake from taking place. You can stick with your decision and try to make best use of it. And you can finally cut your losses and change your strategy after the initial blunder. I think that the last option leads to the most fun and exciting game, since it oftentimes puts you at a small disadvantage and forces you to overcome it while trying to adjust your approach. The mindset alone is appealing. It requires you to live with imperfection and make do with what you have, suffer the consequences, but still try your best. As you can see here, I'm debating what to build this turn, and I know that Heroes of Might and Magic veterans among you are probably going to be disappointed that I do not upgrade my village hall to a town hall, boosting my economy. In hindsight, that seems like an obvious choice, although the scenario is forgiving enough for it not to matter all that much. Besides, I'll get the town hall next turn, I promise. But until then, we have quite a bit to do. Let's collect what we can from Lady Cordelia's vicinity. Head north, miss a pile of all, head back. And with Slava, attack some ghosts and specters. With the reinforcements that we have, nothing can stop us. And remember, no spirit form after a creature acts, so we can shoot the specter all we want. Actually, ghosts and specters having higher initiative than your army can be helpful to a certain extent. Because if they move first in a given battle, you can attack them immediately afterwards. No losses. That's awesome. That's crazy awesome. I'm not sure whether I should really move my sisters to this spot and get rid of the specters, but hell, why not? She has high morale, so she will be able to move back anyway. Remember, the arrow stack in golden bricks indicates that a smaller group of ghosts is currently taking cover behind some trees, I think. In strategic terms, they would receive less damage if attacked, so I go for the other group instead. Now, let's coat my spear-wielding Praetorians in protective angelic goodness. And move them forward to... I can't tell whether you're laughing, facepalming, or shaking your head in disbelief right now. Let me know in the comments section. Oh, for the love of logos. Okay, fine, it's no big deal. Let's move the sisters out of the ghost range, which, if you haven't figured out, is the darkened area that appeared when I hovered my cursor over them. A great feature, I must say. Now, let's focus our attacks on the closer ones. Wow, my enemy's morale is incredibly high, even with me recognizing traps later than Admiral Akbar. Okay, 2 ghosts remaining, time to check our losses. 0 sisters lost. 0 Praetorians down, no crossbowmen down. Okay, that's still final blow. And hooray! No losses. Clean victory. And we get a gold mine and some experience from a chest. No ability points yet though. I'll have to wait for a level up for that. And I guess I should head north, since all that remains is to gather up the resources and to get rid of the ghouls. And I might as well get rid of the ghouls as soon as I head back. Because I will be heading back this way, won't I? I think I will. Let's leave the remaining heroes here. End the turn. Well, 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 what do we have here? Lots of leeches. Elite necropolis creatures.